This most wanted terrorist is now in American custody today. But where he got caught says quite a bit about where the war on terror is heading right now. Ambassador John Bolton weighs in on that, and why the administration's handling of Benghazi could haunt Hillary Clinton if she does decide to run in 2016.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
What a story this was this weekend. A 15-year manhunt for one of the FBI's most wanted terrorists is now over. U.S. Special Ops nabbed Abu Anas al-Libi in Libya over the weekend when they also launched a similar raid in Somalia. Now, al-Libi, who you're looking at in that picture, is one of the men behind the awful, deadly 1998 bombings of our U.S. embassies in Dar es Salaam and in Kenya. Interrogators now questioning him on board a Navy ship in a legal interrogation, as the Department of Defense put out the memo last night, in the Mediterranean. That's where he is. That's where he will stay for the next several days while they question him. He is only one name, though, in Africa's growing terror networks that we are busy trying to address as a nation. Joining me now, Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the UN and a Fox News contributor. Ambassador, always a pleasure to speak with you.
Great to be here.
So what do you think about this al-Libi strike and apprehension over the weekend?
Well, I think it's a great coup for our military and intelligence and law enforcement. They've been at it for 15 years to try and track this fella down. And it really recalls the killing of Osama bin Laden 2 years ago after a similar kind of 10-year operation. I think it's a very important signal to send the terrorists around the world. I only hope now that we don't blow the success we've had by, as we seem to be doing, getting ready to revert to a law enforcement mentality, bringing al-Libi back to the United States and trying him under the indictment that's been out there.
All right. Well, I understand the issues that you might have with that, but on the first part of all of this, it is exactly the opposite of what some have criticized the Obama administration for. The drone strikes have eliminated some of these guys, and with that, extinguished them as a source of intelligence. So this was a very different operation. We put boots on the ground in this operation and brought this guy in, and he's on a ship right now in the Mediterranean, we're told, which is something that the president had complained about in the past, those tactics.
Right, exactly. Several things. First, he said there'd never be American boots on the ground in Libya, and I think that was a mistake ever to say that about anything anywhere, but at least he's corrected it through this operation. Number two, remember that the FBI's hostage rescue team was a part of this. And I think one reason was to have law enforcement present to read al-Libi his Miranda rights at some point, thus preserving the criminal law prosecution option. Now, it is true, apparently, he's on a Navy ship being interrogated for the past 15 years of his life. But nobody should believe that a couple of days of interrogation is going to get anywhere close to the huge body of information this guy has. He should be treated as an illegal enemy combatant. He should be taken to Guantanamo Bay for a long period of questioning, and I'm afraid we're going to lose that.
Well, one of his counterparts was tried in New York, so the precedent was set for that, and it appears that that's the way this is going too. We'll see how long they have him out on that ship asking him questions.
Right. The trouble is we learned that the law enforcement paradigm doesn't work when 9/11 occurred in 2001. This is a war, and we either treat it like a war or we see more terrorist attacks.
All right. Speaking of terrorist attacks, I want to move on to the subject of Hillary Clinton and Benghazi, because I know you feel strongly that if she does decide to run, that's an issue that's going to hang over her head.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the conventional wisdom from political operatives is nobody cares about foreign and defense policy. It's all very remote from their lives, and people don't really vote on those issues anymore as they did during the Cold War. But for Hillary Clinton, her tenure as Secretary of State is the single most important qualification she has to be president. So it's not a matter of opposition research here. She's putting her own record as secretary on the line. I think it's a record of failure, as I think the entire Obama administration has been a failed presidency in the national security area. And it makes every aspect of her tenure as secretary fair game, specifically Benghazi.
It's interesting because I think politically some felt that the Secretary of State job sort of put her out of Washington, removed her from the administration, and really put her on the world stage and set her up in a very positive way. high as a statesperson and somebody who had experience with foreign affairs. So you think it is a double-edged sword for her, though, in the end?
Well, I think people will ask, what exactly did she accomplish as a matter of substantive policy as Secretary of State? And you can look through all the travel files, and that's all very interesting. But in terms of real diplomatic accomplishments, the record is very, very thin. And in terms of the overall American approach to the world, we have seen declining American influence in critical regions in the Middle East, vis-a-vis Russia, China, and East Asia. So I think she's going to have a hard time defending that against the Republican nominee.
I got to go, but as a practical matter, do you think we're going to get anywhere in the investigation in Benghazi before the end of President Obama's term, or is that going to be something that is sat on effectively?
I think he's going to sit on it for the next 3 years.
All right. Ambassador, always good to talk to you.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Thanks so much.